All right, good evening, everybody. We're going to call the Conservation Commission meeting of April 4th, 2018 to order at 5:32 p.m. We're going to jump right into formal. Mr. Dooley, if you could take us in.
Yes, sir. All public hearings and meetings heard by the Raynham Conservation Commission on Wednesday, April 4th, 2018 at 5:30 p.m. in the Raynham Veterans Memorial Town Hall, Donald L. McKinnon Meeting Room, 558 South Main Street, Raynham, Mass. Are relative to filings and joint hearings and/or meetings under the Mass General Laws, Chapter 131, Section 40, as amended in the Town of Raynham Wetland Protection Bylaw.
All right, first on the agenda is a request for the termination of applicability, 1555 King Philip Street, 0 Thrash Street, 0 Pine Swamp. I think that is the old dump. All right, do you have the...
It's not a dump, it's a landfill.
Oh, landfill. Do you have the green card? You can give that to Gail.
Do you guys prefer if I use the mic or stand?
Yes,
Okay.
yep. We're just going to verify everything, that all our dates are good, then we'll get our clerk here to read that into the minutes.
That's you.
All right. Fonts are getting smaller and smaller every year, Phil.
Okay.
Yeah, go ahead.
In accordance with Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 131, Section 40, in the Town of Raynham local bylaw, the Raynham Conservation Commission will hold a public hearing on Wednesday. This is not the right one.
Right one?
March 21?
Yeah, that's okay, it was continued, but we've got to read it in, correct?
Read it in as March 21?
Yeah, that's when it was advertised.
Okay.
Because that's, we
Was there
canceled
snow?
the meeting.
You cancel, meeting was automatically continued today because of weather. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
We'll hold a public hearing on Wednesday, March 21st, 2018, at 5:30 p.m. in the Donald L. McKinnon Meeting Room in the Raynham Veterans Memorial Town Hall at 558 South Main Street, Raynham, Mass. On a request for determination of applicability filed by Green Street Power Partners, LLC, 13060 Garrison Avenue, Bronx, New York, 10474. The proposed Raynham landfill solar project entails construction of a solar photovoltaic PV array on the closed and capped Raynham municipal landfill. The applicant requests confirmation that the work described in the RDA as not within the area subject to protection or the 100-foot buffer zone under the Wetlands Protection Act and the Town of Raynham Wetland Bylaw. The property is owned by the Town of Raynham and is located at 1555 King Philip Street, Raynham, Mass., with limits of the 3 town-owned parcels 8-2229-A, 11-256-A, and 10A-33-0. Okay.
And just for clarification for the minutes, this meeting was postponed due to inclement weather from the 3rd Wednesday of March. Automatically, our policy is that it's continued to the next available meeting, which is tonight. If you could please state your name and firm for the record.
Sure. Jessica Roberts, professional wetland scientist, Ty and Bond, Westfield, Massachusetts.
And if you could just give us a quick brief on what the project is.
Sure. So Ty and Bond submitted a request for determination of applicability on behalf of Green Street Power Partners. This is for a proposed 3-megawatt solar project on the closed and capped Raynham Municipal Landfill. This request is seeking your confirmation. Basically, we're requesting a -4 determination that all of the proposed work associated with the solar project is outside a delineated wetland located west of the landfill and also outside the 100-foot buffer zone. I can describe the project a little bit if you like.
If you could please, just
Sure.
let us know where the work is on the map, where the panels are going to go, and any other work that's going to be done to the site other than the panels.
Okay, so work is proposed to begin in spring 2018. The applicant has submitted an application to Mass DEP. It's an application called a post-closure use permit for using the landfill for another purpose beyond as a landfill. It's closed and capped. It's a 3-megawatt system. It's going to be ballasted, which means that the racks are installed on top of precast concrete ballast blocks on top of the grass-capped landfill. There is no new impervious surface proposed, so we will be using the existing stormwater system that's already constructed as part of the landfill. And the staging for the project for equipment and materials is on the aggregate property or parcel to the northeast, which is also outside of buffer zone and resource area.
And what about roadway to access the construction area?
Access is from the eastern part of the site. There's an existing access road to the landfill. So I can come around. Do you need me on the mic, or this is?
We can just twist that one.
Yeah, if you could just twist that mic up and they could just show us the big map, because they'll,
No, the one on the table there. The one on the
This
table
one?
there, I'm sorry.
Okay. It's like, wow, that's convenient. So access will be off King Philip Street. There's an existing entrance, but they're also going to be constructing a 50-foot construction entrance to prevent erosion of materials onto King Philip Street.
will there be any access from the rear of the site? I know there's an access road that goes through the Raynham Highway Department around the back towards other access points and retention ponds in the rear.
I don't believe so. I think that was part of the discussion of the lease between the DPW and Green Street Power. If there is, it would be minimal for operation and maintenance once the project is constructed. And I'd be happy to get that information for you. But the only portion of the access that would be within that is, a small portion would be within the buffer zone, but it's an existing road.
Okay, and that road is not going to be used for construction, for the purpose of constructing the solar field.
That's my understanding.
Access will be coming in from the King Philip Street side, and the staging yard will be over across the street at Aggregate?
Right. Construction lay down at Aggregate. And based on what I understand of the project, no construction access using the existing DPW road.
Okay. Oswald, have you had a chance to review
Yes, I have.
your comments?
The BVW is pretty straightforward, so I don't have any issue with the delineation, but a substantial portion of the drainage is actually inside the 50-foot buffer, not outside the 100-foot. The current DEP stormwater management guidelines require that solar fields be evaluated for stormwater, so they are not exempt from stormwater management. And their request for determination does not include detailed calculations for the stormwater. So I will pass it with saying that you can probably look at it in two ways. Yes, you agree with the BVW on all activities, so it would be a positive determination in my view, not a negative, so that they can quantify the stormwater. And because those panels, DEP's current policy is that those solar fields will be analyzed and show compliance with stormwater management. They are not exempt from stormwater management, and you can't do stormwater management through a request for determination. So I will, in my opinion, subject to what the commission feels and listening to the audience, at the end of the day, I will think it's a positive, not I will think, it should be a positive determination. Finding that the resource is properly delineated, but that there were notice of intent is required for the stormwater management and for the panel.
And you would say, based on the DEP regulations?
Absolutely, you have to show stormwater management for solar field, yes. And when they first came out, people used to make the argument that, well, the panels do not make contact with the ground, and so the ground remains the same as before, but in reality, the panels are treated as impervious, and you can adjust the combination of the ground and the panels to come up with what we call an acceptable curve number to establish your stormwater. So you do need stormwater management guideline.
Any commissioners have any questions?
Is that because the rain just runs off those panels and creates its own runoff,
That's
so to
correct.
speak?
So if I may, Can I
Yes,
chime in
please.
here? So I am not the PE on the project, but we have permitted many solar projects on landfills in Massachusetts and non-landfill projects. I can totally appreciate your comment regarding the stormwater guidance and the solar policy from DEP. We've worked with Mark Stinson and other circuit riders on other projects regarding the stormwater aspects. Particularly on landfills, and in general, our approach, which has gone through many other conservation commissions, is we are not proposing new impervious surface. The landfill itself and the landfill cap are actually impervious, but we're not proposing any new impervious surface. And therefore, because there's no new increase in impervious surface, we are not subject to the Massachusetts DEP stormwater standards. That said, on a landfill, we understand that we need to tie in to an existing, or the landfill itself is tied into an existing stormwater system. But we don't anticipate any change to the existing conditions on the landfill related to stormwater.
But I don't agree with that, because the landfill's totally capped, it's got grass growing.
Yep.
The grass is going to absorb the water, even though there is a plastic liner under it. It's X amount of feet down. Now you're putting all these panels up that the water's just gonna shed off. Now all that grass area is gone. So I don't buy that.
On the flip side of the coin, you could look at that the panels are blocking extra rain from hitting the grass, too.
So it won't be a flip side.
Yeah.
So actually be adding more to the point that you're gonna get more runoff.
I agree.
So, well, they have the choice to appeal your decision, and then we can see, because I would love to see DEP tell me that you don't need a stormwater management.
I have knowledge of projects like this.
Huh?
That's exactly what they do. They do not require extra stormwater management.
Well, we just did one in Bridgewater, they did. So,
Was that a landfill?
no, not a landfill.
Yeah, that's
But
the difference.
No,
the landfill.
but a lot of those are actually on the helical piles, as opposed to what they're proposing here. If you look at the one in Stoughton, right off of Route 24, it has all those concrete pads, okay, because the landfill doesn't give you the proper support, but that's the, and all this stuff here, they're saying they're proposing, actually, they're showing you proposed work in the, for the drainage.
So I can offer up that this project is going through a permit application process with DEP, the post-closure use permit that I mentioned before. We've received comments back from the consultant and from DEP regarding that application. They did not have any stormwater-related comments. They were focused on snow and wind load.
Because that's a different threshold, that's a different application through, for landfills, through the solid waste. So they don't look at it from a wetlands regulatory standpoint.
Yeah.
Do any of the other commissioners have any comments?
I'm just trying to absorb what being said on both with Azu and the young lady. So I'm not sure what I'm thinking.
I can attempt an explanation, but I'm not a PE.
Oh,
I've been at hearings with
I
our.
would suggest then that you don't offer an engineering opinion.
Okay.
Thank you.
But in general, the solar array, in our calculations for pre and post calculations for runoff and curb numbers, assume that runoff that flows on the panels in the back will continue to flow down, and we usually just use the front row of panels for our calculation for runoff total. And that is used and compared to an existing grass slope, and the curb numbers wind up to be very equal to each other. So even if we were to do our pre and post calculations, they would be net, they would be equal.
Anything else, Dave?
No?
So we can either proceed two ways. We could either, if you want, close the hearing, and we make our decision based off of the information that we have in front of us and our input from our consultant, who is an engineer. Or the hearing gets continued, and you find the information to counter our engineer's information, which can be presented also to the commissioners to weigh in. But I don't know, it all depends on the applicant. And since you're here speaking for the applicant, it kind of rests on your shoulders.
It sounds like it would be worth continuing this and offering what we usually provide for projects of this type in accordance with the DEP policy.
Agreed. Does that sound,
Well, they have to request a continuation. The meeting was, obviously didn't happen because of the storm, but now you have it open. You can't really continue on your own because
I
by
understand.
statute,
I understand.
you have 21 days from filing of an IDA to issue a decision. So if they decide to ask for a continuation, then that will be that will be coming from them, then you can entertain that motion, that request.
and depending on how, again, I don't know how fast the applicant wants to start this. I know coming in front of the continuation, and then if, depending on that meeting, depending on that hearing, what the findings are from that, it could require, or it may not require, an additional filing. So that's why I say the burden's on your shoulders to request how you want us to move forward from here.
Well, it sounds like if a decision were made tonight, we would be voting on whether a negative determination would be issued because there's no work proposed in buffer zone or wetlands. Is that correct?
We'd be voting on the information that we have in front of us, and based on our engineer's information is that we need a stormwater management plan, and we don't have that. And per the regulations that our engineer's consulting, is referring to, that would be needed, and that because it's needed, would be a positive determination.
Yeah.
So, and then
I think that
there have to be a refiling
Yeah.
for notice of intent, which could happen sooner than continuations. But again, that's completely up to the applicant. We can't make the decision for you.
I am going to speak for the applicant and request a continuation, and that would provide us time to provide information to you all that might be helpful for reviewing the application.
Okay. All right. Do you have,
Do you want the next meeting and the one after that?
yeah, let's do the next meeting, just.
Next meeting is April 18th?
Yeah, give us the form to fill out for us.
Is there anyone here from the audience regarding the landfill project solar panel? All right, seeing none. All right, we just need you to fill this out on behalf of the applicant, asking for the continuation. We don't have to do a vote for the continuation. We don't have to do a vote for the continuation, do we? Vote for the continuation? Oh, yeah. I'm losing my mind.
Make a motion that we continue it to
April 18th?
April 18th.
All right, there's a motion and a second. Any discussion on the continuation?
Yes, Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
Just before the next meeting, we need the additional information a week before.
Okay.
Before the meeting. So if they will submit that information a week before, so we can review that.
You, I don't know if you heard that, about submitting the information a week beforehand so we can review it in time. So the night of the meeting, we're not trying to sort it out in front of us while we're on camera. We actually have a little chance to review it.
Understood,
Okay.
so that's 1 week before April 18th?
Meeting's the 18th.
Okay.
Yeah, all the information would have to be in here by the 11th.
All right, so we have the motion, we have the second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Opposed? Ayes have it. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
If you could just turn that form in before you leave.
Thank you.
All right, next we have a continued notice of intent, Broadway, map 3, parcel 90 Alpha, Aspen Property Holdings LLC. I didn't think that was our easel. It looked too nice. It's not in our budget for an easel that nice.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the commission. My name is Ed Brennan. I'm an attorney with an office at 1 Church Green in Taunton, representing the applicant on this notice of intent. As the commission may recall, we've been here several times before you before, and the commission, the last time I was here, early March, requested a letter from a structural engineer with a wet stamp on it, attesting to the integrity of the foundation. I understand that document has been filed several weeks ago, so it's in the records of the commission. At the last meeting, the commission requested again a continuance to do another site walk on the property, and I understand that took place yesterday. But when I left here at the last meeting, the additional information that was requested by the commission was the letter from the structural engineer, which was provided. So we really don't have any additional information to provide tonight, but we're certainly here to answer any questions the commission might have as a result of the site walk yesterday or the letter from the structural engineer.
Okay, I'll jump right into it then. Do any of the commissioners have any questions from the site walk yesterday that were not answered on site that you may have thought about after the fact?
We discussed everything.
Okay. One question that I had myself. I'm sorry. No. You go first, Paul, because it might be the same question you have.
No, just a question about that retention wall. I still don't understand how that retention wall is going to be in place and with time, what's going to hold it up. You know, you get the house coming right here, and then you get the swamp or whatever is right here, and you're going to build a retention wall, then you're going to put material in here. The integrity of this wall, I guess, is a concern, but I'm not sure, because I'm not a structural person. I'm just curious as to how you're going to make sure that wall stays in place.
That's a retention wall on the south side of the foundation.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, certainly, my client is here, can address that as well, but, I mean, the wall has to be designed, it's considered a structure for purposes of the building code, so it has to be designed to the satisfaction of the building commissioner as part of the building permit process. So how it gets done, there's various ways to build a retention wall so that it stands. Some of them are wedged at the bottom with stones and wheat poles through them. So it can be designed to do that, to stand free, so to speak, with fill only on one side. I mean, that certainly can be designed and done that way. It's just a function of how the engineer designs it.
How come it wasn't included in the plan?
It is.
All it says is retaining wall. Doesn't show on the plan, so state clearly what the wall is going to be constructed of, how it's going to be constructed. Normally, when we have retaining walls that are going to be, let's call it part of a structure, we usually have a cut through that says it's going to be built like this.
I mean, I just looked at that.
True, Azu?
No, it's correct, but no specific details about the type of material and how it's going to be built. In the time you have, the discussion of before, really, Attorney Brennan, focused mostly on the existing foundation.
Correct.
Now you're talking an additional wall that needs to be constructed, and I believe
Well, the wall was on the initial filing.
there was no detail for it.
There wasn't a cross-section of the construction of the wall.
Right.
But I mean, the activity within the jurisdiction of the commission is the wall, that there's going to be a wall put there. The way the wall is constructed is, I would see that as something that would come under the state building code or something. We have to do that activity within your jurisdiction.
You have to make it so that it doesn't fall into our jurisdiction. That's the issue here, because normally, we have a 25-foot no-touch around
Correct.
our properties. But in this case, our hands are a little tied, we'll call it, and that retaining wall is, for all intents and purposes, sitting in or on the edge of the wetlands. So it is our jurisdiction to make sure that it stays where it is. So how it is built is, yes, a very concern of ours.
Well, I mean, respectfully, I'm not sure I agree with that. I agree you have jurisdiction over the fact that a wall is going to go there. And that wall has to be constructed in accordance with, if the building code addresses wall construction, or however, whoever governs how that wall has to be designed and built, it has to be done that way. This commission views, okay, that activity is going to take place within the resource area. You clearly have jurisdiction over that. There's no question. But if we have a cross-section of showing what the wall is going to look like, what its footing is going to be, and the materials, we certainly can provide that information, but I didn't see it as a filing requirement with the Conservation Commission. It's a filing requirement through the building permit process. No question about it.
Actually, Lieutenant Brennan, it is part of conservation requirement because you are altering an area within the jurisdiction of the commission. Now, the integrity of that wall and its stability, it's designed for the building commission purposes. But to make sure that that wall will be suitable to support the earth that it's retaining and will not fall into the wetlands, alter the hydrology of the wetlands, alter the hydraulics of the natural flow patterns of runoff. That is part of the things that the commission needs to look at. So the detail is essential to verify that information.
But the wall.
But the commission will not tell you what the wall should be, but it needs to be able to have the information to assess both temporary and long-term impact of the wall.
But, okay, this is our fourth time here on this Broadway, and the wall has been on the plan with the initial filing. And when we were here last time, the issue was the wet stamp on the integrity of the foundation, which we provided that. So I don't have a cross-section of the retaining wall for the commission here tonight, nor did I anticipate the commission asking for it.
Mr. Brennan,
that information certainly can be provided.
I know we have the contractor here. Are there any other, I know we've talked about a poured concrete, a footing. Are there any other types of, I know it's not designed on the plan, but are there any other types of walls that may cut back on the impact to the wetland?
There are. The precast form block walls, they come in like, they're maybe 3 feet. Well, they vary, but they stack. They go together like Legos blocks almost, and they don't get poured, so you don't bring a truck in to do that. And those are very commonplace. The only reason I know about those is I had a lot to do with them on the construction of a marina down in Fall River. And the block walls went up, they're significant walls. But they almost look like those Jersey barriers, except they're shaped a little different, and they interlock.
Okay.
So they can drop one upon the other. And then all you have to do is excavate for the footing, which I think my client has already proposed that they would be willing to do the excavation on that south side by hand. They wouldn't even bring a piece of machinery in along that side. So if they excavate it, then you have to get a suitable footing for the wall, and then you can interlock these precast blocks, and that makes a retaining wall.
Can we make
And if you make that a precast as a condition, we have no issue with that at all.
Can we make that a condition?
Or you can make a condition as that they provide you detail of what they're gonna propose or what they're gonna use. And also the performance, how you expect that wall to perform. We can do that. But the type of wall that they use, it's not your job, because then you are designing the project. And that you are regulating, not designing.
So in the special condition, we could define what the parameters are?
What you expect, how you expect the wall to function.
As a special condition?
That is correct.
In the order condition?
That is correct.
And that's fine. We have to design the wall anyway, so no issue getting that information to the board. It's likely to be a precast, but I understand that's not your job to design the wall, as Azu said, so that's a condition that's perfectly acceptable.
And I'd like to add another condition that we get a chance to review that wall before construction. In other words, look at it in stages as it's being built, that we can get on site and do that.
So we can do a cross-section of the wall design and submit it to the commission as a condition.
That was my question also, and Paul beat me to the punch on it. And then my other question was also about the prefab blocks, which my other commissioner beat me to the punch too, so. Do any other commissioners have any other questions?
I asked yesterday, but I'm not sure that I understood how you're going to remove that limb that be right on top of the house, on both sides, actually, but one that I'm concerned about is the one that would pertain to us, because the tree is in the wetland, and it's a huge tree, but, I don't know.
I couldn't make the site walk yesterday, so I'm going to defer that question.
Yeah, I asked, but I don't think I understood.
Sure, no problem.
Yeah.
Dealing with trees and limbs is common practice.
Yeah, yeah.
So I'm familiar with several tree contractors that climb trees and cut limbs and bring them to the ground. It's just commonplace.
Yeah, that
Common
means that he would
activity.
have to go into the wetlands and, well, I suppose.
Oh, to climb the tree.
Just climb the tree.
Without a machine, yeah.
Yeah.
Is that something allowable, as long as the tree's not coming down from the wetland, but if there's a branch?
Yeah, no,
Stomping the tree, yeah, you're allowed to cut trees in
no,
wetlands.
I was just curious,
But you
because
can, for safety
it's
reasons.
like living with a sword over
Yeah, we
your roof.
deal with that.
That would have to go.
Yeah. Okay, all right, yeah, I'm good.
Azu, do you have any questions or comments?
No, if they've given you all the information and they can request a continuation, or if they feel that they have submitted enough information and that the commission can draft a decision, then you can close the hearing. Once you close the hearing, you have 21 calendar days to issue a decision. So you're not bound to issue a decision tonight.
Any of the commissioners?
Then we can draft a decision for the commission to review at the next meeting.
Do any of the commissioners have any further questions?
No. I'm good.
All right, is there anybody in the audience on this property on Broadway? All right, seeing none. Would you like to close the hearing?
Yeah, we have nothing further to add. The discussion on that condition regarding retaining wall is fine.
Okay.
Motion to close the hearing on Broadway map 3, partial 90A, Aspen Properties LLC.
We have a motion, is there a second?
Second?
Any further discussion? All right, seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, ayes have it. Hearing's closed. All right, and we're gonna vote and issue at the next, vote or issue at the next meeting, is that what you said?
Close the hearing,
All right.
you act on the decision next meeting.
Okay, and you'll
Yes.
Draft a decision for you to get, to
To
look at
verify.
before the meeting.
okay, perfect. All right. Next, we have continued, notice of intent, Eleanor Road, map 12, parcels 185 to 189, Aspen Property Holdings LLC.
Me again. Christopher Coit, Aspen Properties, 60 Court Street, Taunton, Mass. So, this is a second time talking about this project. I'll just recap it in general and go over some options we have. So purchase this parcel of land at the Raynham Town auction. When we purchased the parcel, we knew that it had significant wetlands, and we had done our research and knew, based on our research, that we could likely get a buildable lot with some replication of wetlands. So that was our intent. That was why we purchased it at the town auction. So we purchased it and drafted a plan that's permitted under Mass General Law to fill in less than 5,000 square feet of wetlands and replicate it in a different part of the parcel. Since that time, we also had a walkthrough there, and the wetland line was adjusted a little bit, and I asked the PE to come up with a couple other options on the parcel where the impact may have been less. So I have that plan here, and we have a couple other options. I brought copies of it I can submit to the board if they would like. Just two alternate locations. The one we submitted was this one, and then we have one here and one here.
Copy that for everybody.
So we have an option of moving it one over or all the way down to the second to last lot at the end. All those alternative options are all filling in. Our plan would be to fill in slightly less than 5,000 square feet of wetlands and replicate 2 to 1. But the standard is 1 to 1, but we're offering replicate 2 to 1. A couple other things that may work to our advantage is it's become clear based on discussion here and the walkthrough that this site has been a problem for a dumping ground and things like that. So a couple things that we're offering up is to put up a fence on the property to prevent future dumping and solve that problem, and also deed restrict it, combine the lots and deed restrict it to one lot, so there'll only be one house there for forever, and record that at the registry of deeds. So that there's one benefit possibly is area will be cleaned up, a fence will be put there, prevent future dumping, and also, I know neighbors are concerned about development, and I know neighbors don't want one house, and they definitely don't want 10 houses. So we'd be offering up a deed restriction of one lot, deed restrict the entire parcel to one lot. It's 10 contiguous parcels. So, that
Looking,
concludes my
looking at
presentation.
the paper you just handed out, so which lot is the projected
The filing is for the lot on the paper on the far right.
far right?
And we did an alternate plan to the one next to the left, and then all the way down, second to last on the left.
Azu, have you had a chance to review any of these updates?
No, I wanted to have a discussion about that and then kind of get an idea of what you guys liked and then do a plan up with all the calculations and the replications and everything else. The other two are just concepts at this point.
Okay.
They're not engineered plans. And I know that's what you're gonna expect is engineered plans. I wanted to get an idea. If you like it where it is, you like it moving, you like it down there, and you don't like it at all.
I'll let you look at it a little more. Any commissioners have anything? Well, Azu looks it over.
I mean,
I'm kind of at loss.
I'm gonna be very honest with you. I've made my opinion known from the first time that we had a site visit there, and I understand the applicant's sentiments, but clearly, it's important to note that the provision under the Wetlands Protection Act that talks about up to 5,000, it's not a requirement for the commission to grant. It says you may, not you are required to grant that. I just have a hard time looking at a project where you're actually trying to create a house in wetlands. Okay, yes, you can provide replication and all that, but at the end of the day, that is not just displacing the wetlands. You're also altering the hydrology of that area. It's wet. We've got micro streams that have developed through the area. So the reason I like my part is that I don't get to vote. So at the end of the day, I personally, from a regulatory standpoint and from a professional standpoint, I don't have any warm and fuzzy feelings about any of these locations. So, having walked that property several times and seen the topography and seeing the conditions of the existing abutment houses, this site is fraught with several technical problems. So, I'm not going to waste anybody's time to suggest that maybe if they did this or did that, then I would recommend approval. But again, like I said a second ago, you guys are the ones that vote on it. But I made it clear from the first time they submitted the application. I see Broadway that while I'm having a hard time saying, hey, what are you doing here? At least there is a mechanism that allows you, whereas the foundation was there before. Now, whether it should have been there or not is immaterial. It's there. So they can apply to do that work. But this one here, I can't see how I can recommend allowing any construction here. I just don't see it. So, and that's my comment.
Commissioners?
I mean, I have never seen this before where we get a menu system where we can pick which lot we want. It's usually, this is the lot, this is what we're doing. I don't quite understand how that helps us.
We had the walkthrough, and there was some discussion there about if that was the best location at the walkthrough. So as opposed to designing two full sets, fully engineering it, I thought, over on the right side where it is now was a little lower, and that was, didn't seem to be the best location, so we moved it down where it's a little more level. So again, if I just wanted to have the discussion to see if there was any appetite for moving it down. I do know that the Mass General Law does not. It's discretionary. It can be yes, it can be no. The property was auctioned off as potential developable property. That's why we purchased it. We knew the rules going in, that it was, discretionary, so we're here in good faith, spent the money on the parcel to the town of Raynham, spent the money in engineering. We're here for another meeting. We're here in good faith, trying to work under the rules. I know it's up to the board's discretion, but here we are trying to do, project here in the town of Raynham. We put a plan together. Didn't seem all that well received at the original meeting. We had a walkthrough. It wasn't well received there. I asked the engineer to make some alternate plans to see if Azu or any of the commissions would like that better, and just to open the discussion, if it went in a way where it was received better, we would go that direction. So that was the intent with providing some alternate options, because I know this wasn't nobody's super excited about this plan. Nobody's super excited about this parcel. But again, we purchased it from the town of Raynham with the intent of trying to do development here, and we were just moving forward with that intent and seeing if the option of yes or no would lean towards yes.
Anybody else? So I think, so these right now are individual lots.
Yes, 10 lots.
10 individual lots. So we'll look into possibly move it to another lot and do the replication on a different lot?
Yes, somewhere on this parcel. We would combine it all into one parcel, deed restricted as one lot, and replicate it on the entire new one parcel. We'd combine it all to one. So we've done the calculations. We have the requisite uplands and such. I mean, I know we've adjusted the wetland. We're in agreement on that. It was adjusted slightly based on the walkthrough, so we're just talking about if the board would permit the replication of, less than 5,000 square feet. We'll double the wetlands. We're going to do 2 to 1, 10,000, as well as deed restricted, as well as clean up the area and fence it off. So the continued dumping in I know a lot of the discussion at the walkthrough was how the wetlands have been altered by all the activity in that area. So that would be something, that would be a positive that would stop from happening with this project. Be happy to fence off the area so that activity no longer happens.
Do we have any historical data? I know this probably goes way back in the Conservation Office, way before any of our times, of this location, of this area?
It was considered wetlands. That's why the original builder could not build on it.
Okay. Are you aware of the historical data?
Oh, like I said, I was aware when the town put this up for auction, did some research, saw that it was had a great deal of wetlands, and also knew that under the Mass General Law, we did the calculations. Does it work with filling in less than 5,000 square feet of wetlands? It does. Went to the auction, purchased it, and coming forward with that, with what's allowed. I mean, no, not permitted, but allowed under Mass General Law. And the under 5,000 square feet of wetlands is allowed, not permitted. It's up to your discretion. But I'm not here saying like, I'm totally surprised this is wet. I knew that.
Okay.
We knew that. I'm not trying to be disingenuous. We knew it was wet. We knew the rule is fill under less than 5,000 square feet. We knew we could replicate it 2 to 1. So we put a plan together, and we're coming here in good faith, putting our best foot forward and seeing if that's good enough.
Does anybody have anything else before I open it up to the any of the audience members? All right, is there anybody in the audience here? If you could come on up. State your name and address for the record.
Sure. My name is Sean Stewart. I live at 109 Eleanor. I've lived there for the past 16 years. And I was here a couple of months ago. And I've been listening to what these guys have to say, but they're never mentioning the stream. There is this really big stream back there, and I even have pictures. And it's not on this map. I don't know who does your maps, but to me, these, can I bring these up?
Yep.
I mean, this is what is behind my house, and it cuts right through the property. And by the size of those boulders, they weren't put there by people, and the size of the trees, they weren't just put there.
Now, are these, just for the record, is this water on these properties, or is it on state mass highway?
No, this is right cut, if I may approach.
Yep.
It cuts right through. So there is where the water comes, my neighbor, right across the street from my neighbor, it comes in and it cuts across that property and it goes towards my house. That's the stream that comes
So
right.
you're right about here.
I'm 109. I don't know. I'm this one.
Oh, you're this one,
He's on
okay.
that side.
Oh, you're on that side, okay,
Yeah.
all right.
Yep, so there is where it comes in from the street, there's water all the time, and I put it in one of these photos. So one of these is from the view from the street. That is what cuts through the property. We're not talking about micro streams, we're not talking about wetland, we're talking about a massive stream that cuts through, and it's multi-forks.
Just for clarification for me, you're saying it comes like this and goes like,
I believe it enters here. My neighbor lives.
and then comes across?
It cuts across here. and
Because
then
I
it goes
know
behind.
that there's something here, there's a bed
Right.
that's right here also.
It may connect. I mean, this is.
Yeah, no, I've seen this.
Seen water here.
Yes, right.
As you can see, that is pretty big, and those rocks are huge. So I don't know if they did it in the 50s, whenever the 24 was made, but, you know, if I walk back there, I sink. All that land is wet. And you have that stream, which exits behind my house. And I know that because when I went to put my pool in, I had a different map than what's seen now. So I don't see it on their map. You guys, I'm sure you walk through, all you have to do is you go on where it empties into the street, and it also empties underneath 24 as well. So it comes out, and I believe it heads from my house, well, it enters from Eleanor to 24. So it heads that way, and there's multi-forks that connect.
So it goes towards the east, towards Michael Road?
No.
No?
It goes towards my house.
I'm sorry, west,
It goes towards my house, correct.
Okay, yep, all right.
I don't know why that happens, but during the rain, I mean, it's raging. You can see it, if I look out my back window, I can see water coming
When were these pictures taken?
March.
Before the rain.
Because we had a conversation, me and my neighbor, I said, we're not talking about the stream, there's real water there that runs. Now, I don't know, you know, I'm not an engineer, I'm a nurse. I don't know how it impacts on the map, but it's not there. Nobody's talking about, what are you gonna do with this water? You're gonna move the stream, and there's multi-forks from Michael, which connects and it goes behind my house underneath 24.
Is that stream there right now?
I would assume, I haven't,
It is. I was there.
she lives right across the
You
street.
can see it from my window, the river.
And you can see the rocks. That's why I'm so surprised with this. There's actual rocks. You can see where man has made a pathway. I don't know if it was part of the 24 project. I have no clue. I'm just speculating because some of it looks like it was cement. But if you look from Eleanor Road, if I walk down towards, was that Michael, you look to the right, you see all these large rocks, which are man-made, which is directing the stream. It's right through the property that they want to build on.
Any commissioners have any questions before I go to the other homeowner?
No.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, I just want to look at
Would you like to come up, ma'am?
Hi, my name is Marion White, and I'm 128 Eleanor Road. My concern is the water. You have no idea what it's like. The rainstorm we had a couple of weeks ago, it was a raging river through there. Now, when I spoke with him, he said he could build the house and only take down 4 trees. That's also an issue. Where we live, you can't open your windows because the sound of the traffic. I was told, well, it's not going to change anything. It will. Taking out any more trees means that water has to go somewhere. We really have to think about, I've been there 30 years. I cannot go outside and talk to somebody on my front during the summer. Now, he hasn't, I don't know whether you've seen it, but the bushes and stuff that grow in do give us a chance not to see all the people on the highway. But I can tell you when there's traffic, I can tell you who's drinking coffee. That's how much you can see from my house. In the winter, it's not like that in the summer. You cut down trees, it's going to be worse. Saying putting up a fence, I don't know if you've gone down there in the snow, but we get my house, when it rains, from my front yard, you look up and you see Nicholas. So the water comes down. When we have snow, the water comes down and it hits the snow that they have on the other side of Eleanor, which is his side. And then it melts into there, and it becomes a raging river. Right now, it's raging. I mean, you can see it. You look at it, it's beautiful. But it's not beautiful if you put a house there. I don't know how he thinks he can build a house and only take down 4 trees either. I'm not sure how that would work. But we need those trees. We need it.
Do any of the commissioners have any questions for the homeowner?
I've been out there.
Yeah, I've been out a couple of times.
Have
you seen the water?
Have you seen the water in these photos? Mr. Carter, have you seen the water in these photos?
I have not seen those photos.
Would you like to take a look at them, just so?
Sure, I'm very familiar with the property. I believe this is farther to the right of the property, but I have not seen the photos. But I believe that's
The
close.
water is not farther to the right. The water's in back of your property.
The water is right where he proposes to put this house.
Right, to the right. Towards this way, back here like that.
Was this annotated on any of the original maps that you submitted?
No, that's the whole wetland line. We have the wetland line delineated, so it's in the wetland area. So this is the wetland. Wetland and water is where it's in the wetland area.
Can I ask, where is the water on this map that's been provided? I just don't get it. There's multiple forks with this amount of water in it. I'm not making this up. I would testify.
Does the side of the wetland flag,
They can identify the streams, but the wetland, the border restrictive wetlands boundary is more restrictive in terms of jurisdictional ground.
Yeah, we're saying that whole area is wet, so.
So, just because there's a stream inside of the wetland flag, they're already saying that it's wetland. So those streams automatically fall under the jurisdiction of the wetland flags. That's why you don't see them, because everything to, I don't even know what that direction is, to the north of those flags are automatically inside the wetland, so that water that you see is already in the wetland area.
The wetlands is not near Eleanor Road. The wetlands is behind my house. This
It's
is
not just water, it's vegetation and everything else.
right, but the streams are in the back, is what I'm, so the state of Massachusetts has this fence. I can't get to the end of my property. There's
Yeah.
a stream of water there. According to this map, he's telling me the wetlands are on Eleanor Road. It very well may be, but these streams are.
So you're saying the stream is to the backside of?
Yes, sir.
Between Eleanor and
Between,
24?
there's a fence the state has.
Which is-
If I'm walking down Eleanor Road towards Michael Drive, it's right in the middle of the property. I have no idea how you would put a house there. I mean,
But what I'm trying to say is, that stream is actually already inside the wetland area.
not on this map, no,
That's what he's
sir.
saying.
No, he's telling me the wetlands is on Eleanor Road, and I'm saying.
From the back of Eleanor
Right.
Road, all the way
To the back to Route
So that's
24.
all.
Right,
all
that's
wetland,
all
yes.
wetlands.
Right.
So how do you build a house up, I'm curious, if it's wetlands from Eleanor all the way back to 24, how do you put a house on it?
And that's why we're here. That's why, yeah, no.
Thank you.
So I was just trying to let you know
No,
that.
I know, I'm not-
So I don't know if you, maybe we're looking at the flags and flip-flopping it.
I think I
thinking-
was. I don't read these.
Right. So actually, if the way you were looking at it, there'd be more land to build on.
On the front instead of the back.
Right.
That's-
So it's actually flip-flopped. The
Okay.
wetland flags are actually closer to Eleanor Road, and then,
Right.
past those flags.
Is all wet.
Is all wet.
Thank you.
Is all the street, all the water that comes down they've made their own little rivers.
Right.
All the way down Eleanor, including where you said it would come, wouldn't affect it. I don't know where that water's gonna go.
I'm not
And
sure either.
Pleasantville has a water problem anyway. I just can't imagine if you start building things up, how it would make, it really would impact where I live.
Right.
And I think we gotta start thinking about people who aren't here.
So, Mr. Coe, you tell us how you'd like to proceed, because we can't dictate to you as a commission what to do as an applicant. We can look at what you're proposing and then go from there, but right now you're giving us like
Yeah, I just wanted to have.
choose your own adventure,
No, I
multiple choice.
wanted to have the dialogue to see if there was anything that,
Because I don't think it's in our purview to actually say, we want you to build on this lot. That's
no,
up to the applicant.
not to build there. I wanted to just, I know that, had some discussions with the neighbor, and I know he was not crazy about it right there, and the other neighbor said I'll take down 4 trees. I'm sensitive to the neighbor's concerns, so he had a concern having it right to his house. Let me see if I can move it. She had a concern with taking down a bunch of trees. I'll do the minimum of trees. So that's why I had those discussions. Trying to be sensitive and at the same time make productive use of the land that we just purchased from the town. So I do know that, am aware of the stream that runs along the back of the area. We would not be, any of our plans did not have us going far enough back for the stream, and then by moving it down further to the left and up a little bit, we'd stay even further away from that stream. To keep any other, as far as the trees, we purchased the land, we're trying to make productive use of it. We would have to take some trees down, but we do the bare minimum. I think a structure would also provide some sound protection, as well as trees do, a solid structure. And it sounds like the noise is already a serious problem there. So as the current property owner, we're trying to make useful production of the land, and it already sounds like it's a major problem that's not created by me and is going to continue to be a problem whether we take down a handful of trees or not. So
I can't speak for the other commissioners, but...
Is there any more questions for me?
Yeah,
Thoughts?
I don't have any more questions. Like I said, I can't speak for the other commissioners. I know this is just a very difficult area, and I'll leave it at that, to try to juggle around anything. And again, I can't speak to the other commissioners, but I'll leave it at that.
Is there any appetite for me redoing a plan on lot 182 far left? It's
I mean, once again, we can't tell you which one is better, which one is, that's not our job. We're given the information and then we decide. I'm not gonna sit here and say, well, I like this one better than that one. That's not what we're here for.
Okay.
I mean, it's the same thing as, we just got done talking about the wall. We can't tell you how to build the wall. You have to give us the facts and figures, and then we'll make a decision.
Anybody have anything else?
No.
What's your pleasure, Mr. Coe? Would you like to continue, to give more time? Would you like to
Sure,
close?
I will request a continuance, and I will redraw a plan for map, lot 182, map 12, 182, and see if that is better well received or not. I'll do that. Request a continuance for 2 weeks.
2 weeks to the 18th? The 18th? 18th, all right. Would you like to make that motion?
Motion to continue. Eleanor Road, map 12, partial 185 through 189, Aspen Properties.
The motion, is there a second? Second. All right, any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
All right, opposed?
Would you like me to fill it?
Ayes have it. Yeah.
Yes. Sorry.
All right, because I have to head out soon. You have,
I gotta really go.
Okay. Okay, we're going to jump into informal enforcement order 333 Richmond Street, map 14, parcel 54.
Good evening, members of the commission. Brian Dunn with MBL Land Development and Permitting. Office is at 770 Broadway in Raynham on behalf of 333 Richmond Street LLC. We are in receipt of the enforcement order. I think it was dated February 28th. I have discussed with our client what needs to be done. We've already hired our wetland scientist to go out there and do the delineation, to file a notice of intent for the work that was done. And really what the work was done with, I guess, was a few trees were cut for some safety issues, is my understanding, as the roots were going underneath the pavement and going into and following up against the foundation of the existing building when they bought the building a few years ago. But it is our intent to file a notice of intent to meet your requirements for the work that was previously done.
Azu, did you get a chance?
I'll make my comment, but I apologize, I've got to go. I was supposed to leave at 6:15. What I want to emphasize here, it's only a couple of trees. That is disingenuous. He's saying that it's a couple of trees. That's a lot more a lot more work, a lot of fill. I think I have emailed you the pictures, okay, of the both on the side and the back. But what is more important is that the same owner in 2015 did some work there, and they were notified that they shouldn't do that work anymore until they come before the commission. A couple years go by, they didn't come back to the commission, and they did all that work. That is a flagrant disregard of the one. It's one thing if somebody says, "Oh, I didn't know." They received their letter. I heard something to the effect that, "Oh, it's a different owner." No, the LLC is the same exact LLC that was notified back in 2015. And so the commission, before you tonight, is requiring a notice of intent. All that field needs to be dug out. They have to, it's a commercial site, they need to do a stormwater management report documenting what they've done there, and you should vote to find them. Because this is not a question of they did not know. There's a letter on file back in 2015. So, okay, so there's got to be a fine voted for. And I will say to the tune of $5,000 for the length of time that it's happened.
Okay, Mr. Chairman, can I just address that, please? Yeah. I responded to the initial notice back in 2015. We had just bought that building. The building was in complete disrepair. The lot was in complete disrepair. There were roots growing in, cracking the foundation to the building when we renovated it. I responded to that letter to this commission, to the town, never received a response to that. I sent photographs. I showed the root impairing our foundation and breaking the building, which was never disclosed during the time we bought the building.
So I want to stop you right there. Your disclosure with the Realtor is not this commission's.
This was not to the Realtor. This was to this commission. I responded to the initial notice we got in 2015. I have a copy of the letter. I have a copy of the photographs I sent at that time that showed the roots to those trees that we cut down that were leaning onto the building, infiltrating the gutters of the building, infiltrating the foundation to the building.
We've got it.
Mr. Paris, are you Robert?
I am.
Okay, so this is your last sentence of that letter. Should we entertain any future work on the property that will involve the site, we shall submit formal application accordingly.
Correct.
Did you submit a formal application before the most recent work?
No, what we did was...
Then why are you telling me? So don't come here and yell at us.
I'm not yelling. I'm just saying, I don't want to present the picture that we just took a cavalier attitude.
And a couple years ago, in 2015, it was a couple trees, which is what we noticed, and we said, you need to stop. And you said, I understand, and you did. I will grant you that. You understood 100%, you stopped, and you even stated that if further work was going to be made, you would file formal application. Well, more work was done, and no formal application was filed.
Okay. That,
And it's more than a couple of trees this time. 2015, it was a couple of trees.
Couple of
Now
trees, and what we did this time was just smooth out and grind down the stumps from those couple of trees.
That's great, but we told you not to do anything, and you understood that, because you said if any further work was to happen, you would, exact words, submit a formal application accordingly. That's your words. This is your email.
I understand what that says. I wrote it. I understand.
I understand. That's why we have it on file.
And so what we're proposing to do is do a complete plan of that property, which has never been done, there's not one on file. So we'll take the responsibility to do that now and delineate where the wetlands are, because there isn't a clear drawing. We've tried to look for it. That's why we hired Mr. Dunn and his firm, local company, to be able to do that. All we're trying to do is keep that building safe and that lot safe. Those trees were going to fall in that building. Those trees were going to fall in the cars that were parked in that lot. Shame on us, and I'll take responsibility for that, for not going through the proper application process. We'll do it now. We'll do whatever's necessary. But an arbitrary fine of $5,000, in my estimation, is completely not required here. We are willing to spend the money now to do what we should have done 2 years ago.
But why do we have to bring you before us for an enforcement order to get you to do the work that needs to be done? Why wasn't it done beforehand properly?
I don't have a fair answer to that.
I actually have an answer for that, because me and my brother...
If you'd like to come up and just state your name for the record, please.
Yes. Hi, Michael Parrish. Me and Bobby own the building, we co-own the building. And one day we came in and one of the trees was cracked in half and it was gonna fall on one of my employees' cars. So I just did due diligence and cut the tree down because it was dangerous. So at that point, there was mounds of dirt that were on the property prior to us purchasing it, and we just leveled it out. That's all we did. That's all we did. We didn't push anything into wetlands. We just graded it out with a little tiny machine, and that's all we did. And then we got a notification, and then I called the zoo, and he said that we have to come before this committee. So that's basically all that happened. We didn't do anything that was, impeding on wetlands.
And Mr. Chairman, if we could give us the time to do what's needed. I'm in front of you guys, and we in the town quite often. Give us a chance to do what's needed, to do what is right, get the filing into you, get the wetland areas delineated. If there's been disturbance, we'll show the disturbance on the plan. We'll work with you in the zoo to make sure that there's a correct filing and things are done properly. So just give us a chance to do that without fining us today.
My apologies, I actually have to run out. I have to run to another meeting in about 18 minutes on the other side of town. So the vice chairman's going to finish up and go up there. Hold on a minute. Yep.
So you're gonna do the filing,
Yes.
okay?
I mean, what Azu was asking for, that money could be well served with our services to provide the correct information.
Has the commission
sorry, go ahead.
Has the commission ever done a delayed fine? So
Yes.
give them 30 days
Yes, we have.
to file all the information, and then if they don't do it in that amount of time, we can continue it, but they'll be fined. Is
Yes.
that a reasonable approach for this?
Yes, we have done that.
I will agree with you on that.
We have done that.
The point I think they're both trying to make here is, you were warned once, a tree hanging over somebody's car, okay, I can buy that, cutting it down so it don't fall on the car. Well, while we're here, we might as well just push some dirt around. Now you took it that one step farther. So, I would agree with my other commissioner and do a delay. If you don't make progress, then we can make a decision on to,
I'll give them 30 days.
Yeah. If they can get it done in 30 days, then we'll...
I respect that, Brian. Can we get it done in 30 days?
They got under the-
All right, as
A
long as,
reasonable amount of time.
no, that's fine. I just know how busy Brian is. I just want to make sure if we can do it in 30 days, we'll do it in 30 days.
We'll put it to the front of the list.
Okay, then I'll entertain a motion then.
Motion to delay the fine for 30 days to allow them to put together the application with the understanding that after those 30 days, if the application isn't received, then they will be fined $5,000.
Second?
Second. And I'm just gonna make that 30 calendar days, okay?
Or by the next,
So by May 4th, we will file
when,
some.
when do we meet in
What's
May?
our first May meeting?
May 2nd.
May 2nd?
You do it by May 2nd?
I can do my best to do it by May 2nd. It's only a couple of days earlier, so.
Okay, cool.
Do you want to?
Make a friendly amendment to the May 2nd meeting?
Do I do the whole thing again?
No, just a friendly amendment, that's all, that's all you
Friendly
need.
amendment to make it to the May 2nd meeting.
Second.
Second amendment, okay. So we're gonna first
And I-
vote on,
and I- If I may, Mr.
Go ahead, sir.
Chairman, we were in the same predicament on another thing, on another notice of intent, and we had until this Friday to submit the notice of intent. We submitted it today, so we're ahead of schedule.
on this,
On a different.
Oh, a different one, okay.
So I'm showing a little bit of a track record.
No, I've dealt with you for many years.
Yes, sir.
No, I understand. All right, so
Motion second.
motion has been seconded on the initial, motion, Don, did you get all that?
Deferred fine.
Deferred fine,
Deferred fine.
okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, and
They-
motion been made and seconded on the May 2nd deadline. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you,
All right, everybody happy with that?
Good day.
All right, thank you. All right, that's it. We'll just go into, everybody get a chance to read the minutes for May 7th and February 21st with the changes.
Motion to accept?
Second.
Motion been made and seconded to accept. All in favor?
Aye.
Approved. And bills? And any correspondence, Gail?
Yes, I'm sorry.
That's not by phone.
Did we do both the minutes together?
Yes.
Okay, they
Yep,
did it
we
together.
both
don't they?
minutes.
Yes.
All right, thank you. Okay, and correspondence. This is a notice from our friend Jean Romero.
Oh, yes.
Oh, yes, we have that in our
copies of
package.
that, Yeah.
He handed in his correspondence. He said if you'd like him to come in, he will come to a meeting. If not, that is his plan for the summer. And if you would accept that plan, he will start working on it.
I
The
think-
SAFE program.
Do we need a motion? for that?
Everybody read that?
Thank you.
I would make a motion to accept his plan as presented, and,
Okay,
Second it? I
All right.
don't think we need to vote on that.
no, but,
Yeah.
we'll do it anyways.
We'll do it
Motion been made and seconded. Motion been made and seconded to continue Mr. Romero's plan for the Hewitt Pond and Forge River Conservation Area cleanup as part of the SAVE program in town. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Unanimous.
And the only other correspondence, Mr. Chairman, is National Grid is letting the town know that they're going to be doing some work on their high-tension lines
Okay.
in the area, and it's just a simple modification like we always get.
Yeah, it's just a maintenance agreement that everybody has because of their utilities. Very good. All right.
Motion?
Anybody else have anything else?
Motion?
This property, Richmond Street, I didn't get out to see that, but that's where the old
I believe it's the knife sharpening.
knife
place.
shop
Yes.
place, which we dealt with
Years
several
ago.
years ago.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
We just want to make sure that that's the same.
Yeah.
Yes, yes.
I had to stop and think.
It's all
Yeah.
water around it. Anyway, yes, motion to adjourn.
Motion made to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.